Good morning. Welcome to the Strive and Thrive Alexandria podcast. We're so happy to have with us today Miss Susan Weinstock from AARP. She's the Vice President of Financial Resilience and Programming. Susan, welcome to the Strive and Thrive Alexandria Workforce Development Center podcast.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
And I'm Linda Gilmore, the Business and Community Partnership Manager for the Workforce Development Center. And I'm really pleased to be able to talk to you this morning, particularly around opportunities as it relates to older Americans and more specifically in the work environment. As the Business and Community Partnership Manager, one of my core responsibilities is to manage our 50 plus experience workforce and their job search or employment transition initiatives. So, with that, today we are really honored to have you here to give us a little bit more expertise from a partnership level. We've been partnering with AARP for at least the last 2.5 years. I've been with the Workforce Development Center, and I'm sure much longer than that. And we're expounding on our experience, going beyond just the live classroom to this podcast format. And so, with that, Susan, maybe you can just help us warm up a little bit by just giving us a little bit of insight on what are some of the national trends that you and the folks at AARP are seeing as it relates to older Americans in the workforce today.
Thank you, Linda. The COVID-19 pandemic has definitely impacted all workers, but it's been particularly impactful in particular ways with older workers. The highest unemployment rate actually is for younger workers, but the unemployment rate has almost doubled since, for all ages since February, since pre-pandemic. It was at 3.5% before. Now it's about 6.7%. For the 55 plus, it's at about 6%, which is more than double than it was in February. For women who are 55 and older, it's at 6.1%, which is more than double than what it was in February. For Black Americans, it's 8.5%. It's almost triple. That's older Black Americans, 55 and older, almost triple what it was in February. And for all ages of Hispanic Latinos, it's 9.3%, which is also more than double since February. So these numbers are really astounding. One of the things that we are particularly concerned about at AARP is long-term unemployment, because we know from the Great Recession, when we did some research on that when you lose a job and you're an older worker, it can take you almost double the time to find a new job as a younger worker. And it also, you often never make the same salary that you made before you got laid off. So right now, of the 55 and older who are looking for work, almost half, 45% of them, are considered long-term unemployed, meaning they've been out of the workforce for 6 months or more. So it's been a tough, for everybody, but it's been a tough 10 months.
Absolutely. So that trend in terms of the impact for older workers, 55 plus, and our scope is really 50 plus. We know that has existed, but it sounds like what you're saying is the pandemic has really exacerbated that condition.
That's right. Before the pandemic started, we have a job board. And if folks want to go to our job boards, it's at aarp.org/jobs. And we would get employers who would call us and say, we are looking for older workers. We really love our older workers. They bring so many great skills to the workforce. Unfortunately, we're not getting those calls anymore because of this problem with the pandemic. It's just, so many people have lost their jobs.
So as we prepare for the pandemic to shift, and we are seeing some signs of recovery at this point, what are your thoughts around older workers in terms of with those long-term employment histories and oftentimes require little to no training to be able to really come in and hit the ground running. Do you still see or believe that they are an advantage to an employer? And if so, what can you tell us about how they might be able to position themselves or posture themselves to make that convincing argument to an employer?
Absolutely. So right now, for the first time there are 5 generations in the workforce, which is amazing. And we work with employers to educate them on the value of older workers. What we know is that older workers bring soft skills to the workforce. Because you have those soft skills, you basically earn those soft skills as you're in the workplace for a long time. So you are a problem solver. You remain calm under pressure. You are empathetic, you're a good listener. All of those things are very important to an employer. Employers would tell us pre-pandemic, we love these older workers because we can teach the hard skills, but those soft skills that are ingrained in you, those just can't be taught. I mean, think about someone who experiences a really big calamity at work when you're 25. And if a similar calamity happened when you're 55, you're probably going to look at it a little differently because you've been through problems at work before, you know, different resources, tools, etc., on how to get out of that. So using those soft skills, playing up those soft skills is really a great way to try to get back into the workforce, showing through your accomplishments that you have those soft skills that that employers need.
That's a very good point. And we know soft skills can take you a long way. I think we've
Absolutely.
heard the same feedback and with our career counselors who are coaching individuals for employment at any age. But more importantly, you make a very good point about the fact that you've had time to practice, so to speak, these same skills for a long time. And it's a little bit more natural, I would say, to be able to bring those forth in the workplace. So, Susan, as we think about employers, you mentioned you have a job board and your job board had been used, it sounds like, quite robustly by your job seekers as well as the employers. So, what kind of employers do you think are really at the forefront right now in terms of building age diverse workforce? And how are they doing it?
So we have a program called the Employer Pledge Program.
Okay.
And our Employer Pledge Program is a program where employers publicly affirm that they value older workers, they value a multi-generational workforce, and they hire based on ability regardless of age. This is not a heavy lift, it's the law, but having that public affirmation we think is really important. We have over 1,000 employers that have signed our pledge. So we think that's great. And the program, even during the pandemic, continued to grow in 2020. We had 150 additional employers sign up last year, even throughout the pandemic. So that's fantastic. And that shows the robust nature of employers seeing the value of older workers. And then we work with those employers and educate them. And we try to educate employers throughout the country about the value of older workers and what they bring to the workforce. So that's really, really, really important.
That is very important. And for those employers that you have partnered with, are you finding that you're getting that participation in terms of the pledge across many different industries?
Yes, absolutely. And if people want to see the list of employers, go to aarp.org/employer pledge. And there's an accordion of if you click on the different A through C or whatever, you can see the list of the employers. It's a wide range and it's from big to small, large companies like Macy's, Mantech, which is a company here in Virginia. Obviously Macy's is in Virginia also. And then smaller employers as well. It really runs the gamut.
Okay, okay. So just another area of interest that I'd like to just hear your thoughts around and get some impact. We're hearing a lot about diversity. We hear a lot about inclusion, and a key issue or opportunity, I'd like to think of it as, is getting a lot of focus today is the conversation around equity. And equity as it relates to the workplace. Um, what are your thoughts, or what would AARP say? And are there any particular initiatives that they're doing to help inform around diversity, equity, and inclusion impacting older workers, and especially women? You mentioned women earlier. You mentioned Blacks in particular being more significantly impacted under the pandemic. Any thoughts around equity for those areas?
Yeah, this is such a critical issue, and we know actually the people who are the worst off in this recession have been, as far as job loss, a lot of it has been the older African American women. They've really struggled in this time. A lot of them were in fields that are very heavily dominated by women, and so actually across all races and ethnicities, women have fared much worse under this recession. I mean, we know that they've been trying to take care of children, take care of loved ones, try to hold down a full-time job. It's all so very hard to do all of this together. It makes it really hard. The diversity and the equity piece is really important. One of the things that we tell employers is, if you're making a mass market product or service, how is it that you could have all of your employees be under 35 and appeal to someone who's 55 or 60 years old? Just as you need to have diversity as far as race and ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, age needs to be included in that diversity. A couple of years ago, we did a survey, and we found that only 8% of companies included age in their diversity and inclusion programs. So we think diversity and inclusion is critical for a successful and a productive and engaged workforce. So you want to make sure that that diversity runs through all of society and through all ages, so that you have that wealth of knowledge, that wealth of experience that brings you a better, a stronger workforce, a more productive workforce, a more engaged workforce.
Right. Those are all very good points. And as you are continuing to help inform employers, then we hope that, our partnerships through AARP and the Workforce Development Center, where we're helping to prepare job seekers, provides the perfect marriage in which these individuals who are in the segment of being 50 and over, in our case for our focus, and 55 plus in your case, are better able to manage through in the post-pandemic era.
And actually, Linda, we also are 50 plus. We focus. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The research that they do is they consider an older worker 55 plus. So we have to tweak what we say based on because they have the best data. So, but that's yes, right. we AARP membership is open to anyone 50 and older.
That is correct. And I do believe that AARP does a fantastic job of making sure that that card gets placed in your possession at least 6 months prior to that 50th birthday.
Yeah, that's what we hear.
Well, coming up, we know we have some partnerships going. We're going to be hosting some career readiness workshops for individuals to take advantage of and leverage the information, the tools and resources that AARP provides, and do that in a virtual environment. So with that being said, and given the fact that, at our Workforce Development Center, we provide services ongoing in a virtual environment. I know you do the same thing. Many of us are working virtually right now. Right. But what I do want to do is just make sure we continue to let people know about the partnership with AARP and the Workforce Development Center. Our workshop coming up on March the 4th promises to be a great opportunity for those individuals who are looking to make sure that they are best prepared as well as empowered for the current post-pandemic environment. and that they take advantage of sharpening those tools and skills that they need, the soft skills as well as the hard skills for their current transitions. I'm calling them transitions because some people are currently working and they're very fortunate to be in roles, but in some cases, as you said earlier, they're underemployed and it's not exactly where they want to be. So we hope that people will look at this as an opportunity to see the upside and shift out of employment opportunities or employment experiences that really aren't bringing them to their fullest potential. Susan, I've enjoyed having this opportunity to hear from you this morning. I hope that you found that this has been an engaging format, and perhaps we can do this again sometime real soon.
I would love it. That would be great. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you again. We appreciate you at AARP, and we look forward to doing additional conversations here on our Strive and Thrive Alexandria podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.